Hello and welcome back to another Talk and Tell video. In today's one, we're going to be looking at the, not brand new, a very old Timothy comic. It's the 2003 Dreamwave Timothy comic, and this one is another new story, and this one is the first part of a two-part story, and it's an okay story, I want to say. This one's dealing with gangs, and then in the second part, it deals with cults, demons, and stuff like that, so it has a nice balance, shall we say, of a variety of different things that most normal people don't go through, so off to a great start. So, yeah, I mean, overall this story, I'll just say that there are some pretty decent things in this issue, with Leo teaching the kids how to do ninjutsu and stuff like that. It did give me a little vibes from the episode of Lone Wrath and Cub, and a few other stories so similar to this kind of stuff, which I do think is pretty interesting. And also to mention that it's Leo and stuff like that, so I do find it to be a lot of really interesting stuff within this issue. I think that had some of this stuff been explored maybe a tad bit more, then maybe it could have worked out a little bit better, but I think that what they did do in this issue, it did a really good job of it, and it's a shame that they cancelled it after this, after the next issue, so yeah. Okay, so with the first bit, we do get to see D-Raj. I think he's having a dream of him beating up some bullies to save his sort of girlfriend, sort of not. And turns out that it is a dream, so what he's been doing, he was being awesome. Turns out it was more or less all fake because it was a dream. So he wakes up and he's like, oh, I want to do some training in April, I want to be a real ninja and all that kind of stuff. And so he goes out, and we do get to see April. She's talking to Leo, and there's a little fun conversation here. I mean, I must admit, it's surprisingly how under the verts they didn't really divert the relationships with Vitals and April and stuff like this, so it's nice to see April getting a good little bonding time with Leo and build up their relationship there. I did find it a bit funny with April talking about the sewers and stuff like that. I don't know, just stuff like this, it just brings out the best in those characters and just shows off their personalities with each other, whereas the show, it didn't really get to do that too much, and I do feel like had I done this a bit more in the show, this bit might not been as good. It makes sense, it would just been an okay kind of scene, but yeah. So after that, we do get to see D-Raj. He's on the streets, and that's when he encounters the gang again, but this time for real. And they start to have a fight, but the only problem is that he gets beaten up quite badly, and yeah, but then he just walks away. So I guess that's kind of cool, but it just goes straight to April and knocks out, which, I mean, I understand everything that's going on in his life and all that, but I feel like he could have gone back to his own home, especially if he's walking home and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff like that which I'm just you could have done things so much differently. But either way, because he's got knocked out near April takes him in and then starts talking and be like, well, you could do better. Well, I got a friend actually who could teach you all this kind of stuff. And that's when Leo walks in. They do have a little quick training session. And with this bit here, I mean, I thought it was pretty decent for the most part. I mean, I do think that is limited by the fact that it is a comic book, so I do think that some things could have been handled a little bit better had it been animated or something along those kind of lines, but because it's a comics, there are a few limitations. But I feel with this bit here, it was pretty decent for the most part, just doing a pretty interesting training session compared to, and it's something which I do actually blame most versions of Turtles, where we don't normally get to see the Turtles training, so stuff like this is really interesting and fascinating to see, and it's actually really cool to see them do stuff like this. And it's a shame we don't do a lot more stuff like this, because it is just so fascinating and really great to see them doing stuff like this. It's just so fun and great and amazing, and it's just disappointing that they just don't show this kind of stuff more often. But either way, Leo does teach D-Raj how to do a few ninja moves, and so then after that, later that night, the gang is hassling the girl again. So D-Raj goes out to try and stop them. And this time, with the help of Leo's help, with him off in the distance on the buildings, showing D-Raj how to make the moves, he's able to beat them up. And I think that this is cool, because on one hand it's really great to show that he's learning and he's building his character up and all that. I think that's really great and amazing. The only problem with it is the fact that because Leo is there teaching, more or less showing him how to do all these moves, it does feel like he hasn't really learned anything. It just feels like he's just there just copying all his moves, which he is, but at the same time he just spent like a few hours training, so I felt like there was definitely, like this scene here could have been handled a lot better, and I think that had like Leo just shown up to just be there and not like showing him how to do some of the stuff, then I think that this would have worked a lot better, because it just comes off so weird that he's just there and then teaches him everything while D-Raj is like, you know, he learned how to do some ninja stuff, but he doesn't use it, so yeah, but either way, D-Raj does actually beat up the 3 members, and they run off, and that's pretty much it for the D-Raj story bit there. And we do get to see at the end, we do get like the gang members, they're all like, oh yes, we're gonna go off, we're gonna kill that kid, we're gonna do some stuff, and it does set things up nicely for the next issue, but I feel like this story would have worked better had this one been just a single issue, because, well, no, God, damn it, oh, no, okay, so, no, so, oh, no, damn it, what am I trying to say, not a single issue, a standalone story, that's what I'm trying to say, but I feel like, because I feel like the second part is not as strong, it just feels, it's tacked on, it just doesn't really feel like they didn't really put too much thought into it, but it's decent enough. And then with the actual final bit, we do get Leo. He goes back down to the sewers and he's talking to Mikey, Raph, and Splinter, and being like, oh, well, you know, I trained this kid and all that kind of stuff. And Splinter says like, well, yeah, you might have trained him, but at the same time, you gotta keep training him, otherwise he's gonna not be able to learn all that kind of stuff. And when you look back at it, with him standing in the shadows, showing him how to do the moves, yeah, D-Raj is pretty much screwed, so off to a great start there. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much to this scene. I wish Johnny had been in this scene, but other than that, So yeah, overall this issue, I think that this story is a pretty decent one. Had it just been a standalone issue, I feel like this one would have been a lot better and would have been received a lot well by people. But I do think that because it's like bogged down by the fact that it has a second part with all the other characters and stuff like that, it does ruin it in a little bit, but not that badly. And I don't know, I feel like there's like a lot of stuff which I do really enjoy, but also at the same time there's like some parts which just like, oh, that could have been done differently and it would have been better. But yeah, I mean overall, I mean, so like also the artwork, like it's staying consistently like really well, which is quite surprising considering that like most other series and stuff like that, they normally change their like, artists like every few issues, so that's really great. And the writing, yeah, I mean, I'd say that because this one's not like written or overseen by like P. Laird or anyone on the 2003 team, it is quite surprising how well this story does fit into the 2003 universe. I know that like that shouldn't be too surprising considering that this is a 2003 comic, but well, I feel like with some like certain comics, with like certain universes, they can sometimes fit within like a certain universe because they look like that god, and just look like that version of Turtles, and it sometimes works but sometimes doesn't. But other times, like some stories work too well that they should have been animated. So this one's but yeah, let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this issue. Do you like it? Do you not? And yeah. That's going for today, guys. If it doesn't, please share, subscribe, and all stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.